Where did the towers go?
It's undeniable that the buildings went away.
Where is all the rubble? It seems so flattened.
If they had collapsed to the ground, you'd have a pile of debris that would correspond to 210-story buildings. That didn't happen.
Where did the towers go?
There ain't enough rubble. I mean, where are they?
There's no debris.
You just can't account for the missing material.
Engineers at the firm that built the building's best guess to account for the missing 1,200 feet of material from each tower is that large portions simply vaporized.
Now look at those pictures just hours after the event, and there was nothing there.
You had a little bit of rubble, but you didn't have 210-story buildings piled up there.
That's the part that's crazy. It's just that's all that's left.
People who have been right down next to the base of what was the trade towers say there's virtually nothing left. Maybe a few flights of stairs, a few stories of one of the buildings.
110 stories at ground level. 110 stories at ground level.
I've got a picture of Building 7 in the background still standing and fuming away. It went away at 5:20 that day. So we know it's before 5:20 on 9/11. You're looking straight over from West Street, and you should see a 110-story building blocking your view. But there's just nothing there, right down to the ground. There's an ambulance that was parked in front of Tower 1 on West Street.
Okay.
And Tower 1's not there anymore. But the ambulance is there.
That should have been obliterated too, don't you think?
Why isn't the ambulance crushed?
It's obvious there's a big lack of material there.
Aside from huge pieces of twisted steel from the towers, there was little that was recognizable in the debris. No one had ever seen anything like it.
I mean, you didn't find a shard of glass, anything that looked like would be used by a person. You just didn't see it.
All there was powdered debris and metal.
We're talking here about 43,600 windows, 600,000 square feet of glass, 200,000 tons of structural steel, 5 million square feet of gypsum, 6 acres of marble, and 425,000 cubic yards of concrete, turned in good part into a cloud.
Perhaps the most astonishing object Shate found is something there should have been thousands of. This one probably only survived because it was in the basement. It belonged to an ice cream store.
You can see what remains of the file folders that were inside.
It was the only file cabinet found. They were able to identify what store it was from, and they called up the store owner and said, "Hey, we got your money." And they gave them their money.
When you have paper flying, but you can't see a toilet, a desk, or anything else.
You had all this paper flying all over Manhattan, and yet in the rubble there wasn't one file cabinet wrecked or anything. I think they found one.
The most amazing part of it is those two little pimples where there's an arrow that points that people survived here.
And that's like right under the tower.
They didn't burn up, nor did they slam to the ground, but turned into dust in midair.
Although they were demolished in such a way as to look as if they fell, they did not fall at all.
The buildings, in fact, mostly turned to dust before they hit the ground.
You see the steel falling in midair, trailing dust.
It's not hitting anything as it's flying through the air. So why is it turning to powder in midair?
It's not pulverization, it's not vaporization. I call it dustification. The buildings turn to dust.
Those towers towers literally disintegrated. They went into dust.
How could so much steel and concrete just vaporize? Did it all turn to dust?
It's incomprehensible for somebody to see something solid turn into dust.
The building turned to dust in midair. If you look at it, you can see that.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back.
You have a steel beam flying through the air, and it's dissolving as it flies through the air. It's turning into dust, and it's not hitting anything. The building was not smashed to bits. So that's why pulverizing doesn't describe it.
No explosions, no heat, no flames.
Vaporization implies high heat. You would have seen the whole building glowing. People would have been blinded by the light. It's very dense dust. It initially blocked out all of the sunlight, 100% of the sunlight, so it was pitch black. You come to the realization that these pieces of material are becoming dust. They're frothing up into dust as they fall.
And if you watch some of these pieces, you can actually see them turning to dust before they hit the ground.
It turns to dust.
That's amazing. That is amazing. I mean, just like a Star Trek thing. It just, poof, it's gone.
What we saw and what happened on 9/11 was something that we as the public had never seen before.
What happened on 9/11, I believe today it was not a controlled demolition, it was not nanothermite, and it certainly was not the pancake effect of two planes hitting a building.
There's a cluster of core columns that remains here. Watch what happens to them. They just faint. Here's Building 7, which is a 47-story building. It's like 650 feet tall, approximately. This has got to be over that.
It physically disintegrates in front of your eyes. Not concrete, but steel.
Here was these huge buildings that turned to dust in midair right in front of our faces on TV. Why did so few people see that? Because they were told to see a collapse, maybe?
It does not fall within their learned parameters. Conventional wisdom kicks in, and it says that it's impossible to dustify a building.
The buildings turn to dust before they even reach the ground. You can actually see this happening. You can watch any of the videos from the news channels. They all show the same thing.
We thought we knew what we saw.
A plane hitting the building should not turn the buildings into dust.
We've got to start looking at this whole situation a lot differently than we have up until now.
Free your mind.
They just seem to crumble.
This is not a theory, and it is not speculation.
The proof is staring us right in our face.
Can you call that a collapse?
The building didn't burn up, nor did it slam to the ground, but turned into dust in midair.
The 110-story tower disintegrated in just 10 seconds.
It doesn't look like a controlled demolition or a pancake effect. It looks more like a total pulverization. And it just seems like it's like a waterfall effect where it's just dust is just accumulating and piling over on each other.
That's not a collapse. And it's not an explosion. It's a building frothing up into powder.
This is 110 stories of building turning to dust in 10 seconds.
It just seems to turn into dust.
The towers did not collapse.
They did not collapse. They were turned to dust.
The towers were not brought down, but instead were turned into dust.
We don't have a word in our vocabulary that describes that. So I've invented a new word, dustification. I kind of define it as the process of turning a solid structure into powder in midair.
Dustified.
There it goes.
Wait a minute, that building's turning into dust in midair. Collapses don't do that.